For those of us who are parents, we face many challenges, as you know. One of the greatest challenges we face is trying to instill in our children a sense of gratitude. So as they begin to walk and talk, we start to instruct them. And, Grandma will come over with a package, and the kids get all excited, and the kids immediately dive into the package and start ripping it to shreds and stop. Hold it. Just a minute. What do you say? Thank you. And they go back to the package. Earnest gratitude. Children generally, the first words that they learn are no and mine. They're protected. And as they grow up, we continue to try to ensure that they're grateful and gracious for all that they are given. And we know that that is a challenge, and it's not just for young people at all, as well. I mean, I remember my mother insisting that I sit down and write thank you notes for all of the birthday presents that I received. And I would have been more happy going to the dentist than writing thank you notes. And every week I had to write a note to my Nana in British Columbia to show her that I loved her and I was grateful for her relationship. And that was painful. Gratitude doesn't come naturally to human beings, I don't believe. It's a learned behavior, I think, or a behavior that becomes almost gift-like. I remember the first time that I really experienced a sense of gratitude. I was in my late teens, and I was out west in Banff National Park with a couple of friends of mine. And we decided to climb to the top of Mount Norquay. Anybody been to the top of Mount Norquay? It's quite a mountain. And we left quite late in the day. We sort of underestimated the amount of time it was going to take to get there. So we climbed and climbed, and we began through these fairly well-marked trails, and there was great bush and evergreens, and it was hot and humid, and we made our way to the top, and it seemed like forever. I'm guessing it might have been 2-3 hours, and as we climbed, the brush got thinner, and the trees got shorter, and the air got clearer, and we ultimately made our way to the top and got ourselves above the tree line. Well, all there was scrub brush and dirt and rock. We got to the top of Mount Norquay just before dusk. And the sun was just beginning to go down over the horizon. The sky was purple and red and yellow. The mountains were majestic in their kaleidoscope of colors. The breeze was soft. It was absolute silence. And we were in awe. And as we watched the sun go down over the horizon, the skies lit up like God himself had painted it with a paintbrush. I was speechless, and it was an overwhelming sense of gratitude for being on this planet. And one of the first true occasions where I said, you know what, there truly is a God. There cannot otherwise not be. Look at this. And that thankfulness stuck with me. Gratitude is a behavior that comes as a gift. Comes as a gift, and it is also something that we acquire in time. Often we think one thing, that is, we all want to acquire the same thing. Every person here today wants the same thing. Every person in this town, in this province, in this nation wants the same thing. We all want to be happy. We want to be happy. And we set our sights on finding different ways to acquire that happiness. Some of us do it through our careers and trying to make the best of what we have in a career and working ourselves to the top of the ladder. Some of us do it through acquiring things. Some of us do it for thinking that money will make us happy. Some of us do it through playing sports. We all believe that by doing things we will acquire happiness. But what I truly believe is that happiness doesn't lead to gratitude. It's the other way around. That gratitude leads to happiness and contentment of life. We've all known people who seemingly have the world at their feet, who are successful, who have made it, so to speak, who have done everything they've set out and reached and achieved every single goal and traveled to every place they've ever planned. And yet somehow they lack a sense of joy and happiness. And yet there are those other people in our lives who somehow have experienced things that you wouldn't want to experience yourself, where there's been despair and difficulties and troubles, and yet there's a sense of peace about them. And there's a gratitude that they have that allows them to recognize that they are truly blessed in a variety of ways. Gratitude is a gift. Jesus was walking between Samaria and Galilee with his disciples and this group of lepers. Happened to be off in the distance. And the lepers, as you may know, is a horrific disease where over long periods of time, decades sometimes, where their limbs literally fall off their bodies and their bodies are covered in boils and sores, and they're terribly contagious. So they've been ostracized and marginalized from society. They've lost everything, their families, their friends, their identity. Everything is lost to them. Ultimately, so will their lives be lost. This horrific disease and this colony of lepers have heard of this man Jesus, and so they are hoping upon hope that he can do something for them. And as Jesus was walking, they called to Jesus from a distance because they know they can't approach. Jesus, have mercy on us, they cried. And Jesus says, go and show yourself to the priest. And the reason he says that is because the priest is sort of like the chief medical officer of health. That in order to reclaim your position in society, you have to be declared clean by the priest. And yet these lepers, prior to them being healed, their hands are still without fingers and their legs are without limbs, or without feet possibly, and the boils still exist, and yet in faith they turn and they start walking towards where the priests are, and along that journey they are healed. Not instantaneously, but in time they are healed. And they go to show themselves to the priest, and yet there's only one of them who acknowledges and recognizes with gratitude what just has happened. So the one turns around to come back to say thank you to Jesus, and Jesus says, where are the other 9? For me, it's a lesson in how gratitude works. Because sometimes, for those of us who live in this town, in this province, and in this country, we are often like the other 9, who forget to be thankful and grateful for what we have, relative to the vast majority of the human population of this planet. We could be Rohingya refugees in Burma. We could be members of a different tribe in South Sudan. We could be Syrian people still caught in Aleppo or Homs. We could be refugees running from all sorts of war and conflict and strife. We could be people living on the streets with mental health disease in downtown Toronto. We could be living with loneliness and isolation because we haven't reconciled ourselves to our family and our friends. We need to recognize that in gratitude, all we have is a gift given to us by God, and we are called to say thanks for that. This is our calling at this Thanksgiving. Gratitude leads to happiness. Happiness leads to a life of fullness, compassion, and love. Thanks be to God.